What would you do if you received a wedding invitation, only to find out your husband was the groom? This isn't just a story about betrayal. It's a journey through secrets, heartbreak, and the fight to reclaim a shattered life. Join us as we unravel the twists and turns of a woman who discovers the man she loved is living a double life. Prepare yourself for a tale filled with mystery, emotion, and the courage it takes to face the truth. She received the wedding invitation, the kind she never expected to see, and certainly never expected to hold in her own hands. The envelope was thick, heavy with embossed gold lettering that gleamed faintly in the soft light of her kitchen. Her name was printed clearly on the front, alongside the name of the groom, her husband, David. But this was impossible. They had been married for 5 years, shared everything, built a life together from the ground up. So why was she now staring at an invitation to his wedding? Anna's fingers trembled as she traced the smooth edge of the paper, her mind racing to make sense of what she was seeing. The date was just 2 weeks away, a Saturday afternoon in early May. She checked the return address, a chapel halfway across the state, in a town she'd never visited. The reality of it began to sink in, heavy and suffocating. Someone else was going to marry her husband. The thought was so jarring it felt like a nightmare she couldn't wake from. Her heart pounded in her chest, a rapid drumbeat of confusion, betrayal, and disbelief. How could this be? What had she missed? For the first time in years, the foundation of her world trembled beneath her feet. It wasn't just the invitation, it was everything that invitation represented. Secrets, lies, a double life she had been blind to all along. Anna had always thought of herself as an ordinary woman living an ordinary life. She and David met in college, their connection instant and powerful. They married young, dreaming of a future filled with laughter, love, and quiet moments in their modest home on the outskirts of Chicago. For 5 years they built that life. She had no reason to doubt him, no reason to suspect anything was wrong. But the invitation changed everything. She sat down at the kitchen table, the envelope still in her hands, her mind flashing back to recent months. The small oddities she had noticed but ignored, the unexplained late nights, the vague excuses about work trips, the furtive glances at her when she entered the room, the way his phone always seemed to be just out of reach. Anna had convinced herself these were minor things, stress from his demanding job or harmless distractions. She wanted to believe in the man she loved. But now, holding that invitation, the pieces fell into place in a way that left no room for doubt. Her fingers dialed Maria's number before she could stop herself. Maria was her best friend since childhood, the one person who knew her secrets and fears, who had stood by her through heartbreak and joy. The phone rang, each beep echoing her growing panic. "Anna?" Maria answered, her voice warm but concerned. "Is everything okay?" "No," Anna whispered, trying to keep her voice steady. "You have to come over. I found something I don't understand." Maria was at her door within the hour, concern etched deep into her face as Anna laid out the invitation. Maria's eyes widened in shock, then narrowed in thought. "This doesn't make sense," she said slowly. "Have you talked to David yet?" "No," Anna replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know what to say. I don't know how to start." Days passed in a blur of sleepless nights and anxious waiting. Anna watched David closely, searching for any sign, any hint that might explain the impossible. But his smiles were the same, his words carefully chosen. He was the man she married, the man she thought she knew. Until one evening, she found his phone left unattended on the kitchen counter. A message notification lit up the screen, and her curiosity overwhelmed her. She glanced at the name, a woman named Claire. The messages were warm, intimate, filled with plans and promises. Anna's hands shook as she read the words, each sentence another blow to her heart. Claire was not just a friend. She was the woman David was going to marry. The wedding invitation was no mistake. It was a declaration. Anna's world spiraled downward as she faced the unbearable truth. David had been living a double life. For years, he had kept the secret from her, weaving a web of lies that now threatened to destroy everything. She remembered the small moments she had dismissed. The late-night phone calls, the unexplained absences, the times he had seemed distant and distracted. Now they screamed at her in the silence of their home. Her mind raced with questions. How long had this been going on? Was Claire the reason for the nights he came home late? Did he love her? Did he still love Anna? What was the plan? Was this wedding real? Or was it some cruel game? Anna knew one thing for certain. Nothing would ever be the same. She spent hours staring at the invitation, the glossy paper seeming to mock her. The date was fast approaching. She didn't know if she wanted to confront David, to demand answers, or to disappear from this nightmare altogether. As the days slipped by, Anna's friends and family noticed the change. She was quieter, withdrawn, her laughter gone. Even Maria, the rock she leaned on, admitted she was worried. "You have to talk to him, Anna," Maria urged gently one evening. "You deserve to know the truth." But Anna was terrified. What if the truth was worse than she imagined? What if David had already made his choice? What if she was only holding on to a shadow of a life that no longer existed? One night, unable to sleep, Anna opened David's laptop, hoping for some clue. The search history was revealing hotels, restaurants, flights to that distant town where the wedding was to take place. Dates matched the invitation. She stumbled upon emails between David and Claire, their plans laid bare in glowing words of love and hope. The pain was unbearable, slicing through her like a blade. Anna's tears fell silently in the dark. She felt betrayed, lost, and utterly alone. Yet beneath the despair, a spark of something else flickered: determination. She would not be a victim of his secrets. She needed answers, closure, and perhaps a way to reclaim her life. The invitation was a cruel beginning to a story she never wanted to be part of. But Anna knew she couldn't turn away. In the days ahead, she would have to face David, confront the lies, and make decisions that would change everything. For now, she sat in the quiet of her kitchen, the invitation resting before her like a challenge she couldn't ignore. The days following the arrival of that invitation became a relentless storm inside Anna's mind. She felt as if she were trapped in a labyrinth where every turn revealed more shadows and dead ends. The once familiar world around her twisted into something unrecognizable. Every glance at David was now charged with suspicion. Every word he spoke, every gesture he made, was dissected in her thoughts like clues in a mystery she desperately wanted to solve. Yet, confronting him felt like standing at the edge of an abyss. The fear of what she might uncover was paralyzing. She wanted answers but dreaded the confirmation of her worst nightmares. The invitation was more than just a paper. It was a symbol of betrayal, a silent scream echoing through the quiet rooms of their home. Anna tried to keep her daily routine intact. She went to work, talked to friends, and smiled when necessary. But beneath that fragile facade was a woman unraveling, desperate for truth and trembling with anxiety. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon painting the sky in fiery hues, Anna noticed David acting differently. He seemed restless, distracted, and when she asked simple questions about his day, his responses were clipped, distant. The tension in the room was palpable. "David, is there something you want to tell me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. He looked at her for a long moment, then looked away. The silence stretched unbearably before he finally spoke. "I don't know how to say this," he began, voice strained. "Anna, there's something I've been hiding." Her heart pounded so loudly she thought he could hear it. She braced herself, ready to shatter or somehow hold together. David's confession was a slow unraveling of years of deception. He told her about Claire, the other woman who had become the center of a part of his life he had kept locked away. How they had met 2 years ago during a business trip. How what started as friendship grew into something deeper, complicated, and impossible to abandon. Anna listened, numb but burning with hurt. She asked questions she dreaded answers to, about love, loyalty, and choices. David's words painted a picture of a man torn between two worlds, between the life he had with Anna and the secret relationship that had consumed him. He hadn't meant to hurt her. He had wanted to protect her from pain, but in doing so, he had only deepened the wound. The invitation wasn't just a formal gesture, it was real. They were getting married. In 2 weeks. Anna's mind reeled. The reality crashed down like a tidal wave. Her husband, the man she had promised forever to, was about to marry another woman. She asked him why. Why now? Why so soon? David's answer was tangled in regret and desperation. Claire had given him a choice. A future that promised passion and renewal, a chance to start over. Anna had represented stability, comfort, and a love built on years of shared memories. But somewhere along the way, something had broken. Anna's world collapsed, but within the wreckage, a fierce storm brewed. She couldn't just disappear. She had to fight, to understand, to reclaim whatever dignity was left. But how? Days turned into a frantic search for clues. Anna began piecing together the hidden parts of David's life. The secret phone numbers, the emails she had never seen, the weekends he claimed to be working late but instead vanished into Claire's world. One afternoon, Anna decided to visit the chapel where the wedding was to take place. She needed to see it with her own eyes, to confront the place that symbolized the ultimate betrayal. Driving through winding country roads, the scenery blurred past her as tears stung her eyes. The chapel was quaint but elegant, nestled in a small town with blooming flowers and an air of serenity that felt cruelly at odds with the storm inside her. She stood outside the chapel's heavy wooden doors, hands trembling. Would she find Claire there? Would David be waiting to say goodbye to the life they shared? The silence was overwhelming. Anna's phone buzzed, an unknown number. Hesitating, she answered. "Anna? It's Claire." The voice on the other end was calm but carried an edge Anna couldn't place. For a moment, the two women were silent, the weight of unspoken emotions thick between them. Claire spoke first. "I didn't want it to be like this. None of us wanted pain." Anna's voice cracked. "Why, Claire? Why him? Why like this?" Claire explained that she had no intention of destroying a marriage. Their relationship had grown in secret, yes, but she believed in David's love for her too. She wanted a future just as Anna did. The difference was that David had told Claire he wanted to marry her. The conversation was raw, painful, but it opened a door to a truth Anna had been too afraid to face. As the wedding day loomed closer, Anna found herself caught in a web of conflicting emotions. Anger, betrayal, heartbreak. Each moment she spent with David became a battlefield of unspoken accusations and shattered trust. Friends advised her to leave, to move on. But Anna wasn't ready. Not yet. She needed to understand why. Why David had chosen this path. Why she had been kept in the dark. One night, she confronted David again, tears streaming down her face. "Was I just a placeholder? A comfort until Claire came along?" David's eyes were filled with pain. "No, Anna. You were always more than that. But I lost my way. I didn't know how to be honest with you or myself." The confession didn't heal the wounds, but it cracked open the space for something raw and real. Anna's journey was far from over. The invitation that had shattered her life was now a symbol of a crossroads. One she would have to face head-on, no matter the cost. The days grew darker as the wedding approached, and the tension between Anna and David reached a breaking point. The fragile threads holding their relationship together were fraying fast, unraveling into bitter arguments and long, cold silences. Each moment they spent together felt like walking on a tightrope stretched over an abyss. One misstep could send them crashing into irreparable ruin. The community around them, once full of warmth and smiles, had become a cage of whispers and judgment. Friends and neighbors took sides, some offering sympathy, others casting accusatory glances. Anna felt isolated, torn between heartbreak and a fierce determination not to let this betrayal define her. In the quiet moments, alone in her bedroom, she confronted the deepest pain. How could the man she trusted, loved, and vowed to stand by for life, prepare to marry another woman without her knowledge? The thought was a poison seeping into her soul. But amidst the emotional chaos, a new revelation struck, a discovery that would change everything. One night, while David was away on a supposed business trip, Anna found herself unable to sleep. Restless, she wandered into their study, and her eyes fell upon a hidden drawer in his desk, a drawer she had never seen before. Curiosity and desperation pushed her fingers to pry it open. Inside, she found a collection of letters, photographs, and a small box wrapped in delicate paper. The letters were dated years before, written in a hurried hand, filled with pleas, promises, and confessions. They weren't from Claire, but from someone else, a woman named Emily. Anna's breath caught as she sifted through the letters. Emily spoke of love and pain, of promises broken and trust betrayed. The photographs showed a younger David, smiling beside a woman whose face was etched with sorrow and hope. Anna's world tilted again. Another secret, another story she had never known. Why had David never mentioned Emily? Who was she, and how did her presence change the narrative? Determined to uncover the truth, Anna began tracing back through David's past. She called old acquaintances, searched online, and pieced together fragments of a love story that had ended long before Claire appeared. Emily had been David's first love, a relationship that ended in heartbreak when circumstances tore them apart. The letters revealed Emily's lingering pain and David's struggle with guilt and regret. But more importantly, they revealed a man haunted by past mistakes, trying to move forward but shackled by memories. As Anna wrestled with this new knowledge, the upcoming wedding loomed like a storm on the horizon. The community's chatter grew louder, and the pressure mounted on both David and Claire to finalize their plans. One evening, David came home earlier than expected, exhaustion written across his face. The air between them was thick with unspoken words. Anna finally broke the silence. "David, why didn't you tell me about Emily?" He sighed deeply, the weight of years pressing down on him. "I wanted to, but some wounds are too deep to open again. I was ashamed. I thought burying the past was the only way to protect us." Anna's voice trembled. "And Claire? Was she supposed to replace me? To heal those wounds?" David's eyes were filled with sorrow. "No one could replace you, but I was lost, confused. I didn't know how to face the truth." Their conversation spiraled into a painful reckoning. David confessed that his heart was torn between the past, the present, and the uncertain future. He loved Anna, but he was also caught in the web of his choices. Anna realized that the man she married was not the man she thought she knew. Yet, beneath the layers of secrets and lies, there was still a flicker of the love that had once bound them. But love alone could not mend what had been broken. Days later, Anna received a phone call from Claire. The voice on the other end was softer now, less defensive. "I want to be honest with you," Claire said. "David is torn just like you. This wedding, it's not just about us. It's about trying to find a way through the pain." Anna listened, the anger inside her mingling with a reluctant understanding. The three of them were caught in a tragic triangle, each wounded and searching for answers in the wreckage of broken promises. As the wedding day drew near, Anna made a decision. She would attend not as a passive bystander, but as a woman reclaiming her story. She would confront the truths, face the pain, and find a way to emerge from the darkness. On the morning of the wedding, the sky was heavy with clouds, mirroring Anna's turbulent emotions. She dressed carefully, each garment chosen as armor against the storm inside. Arriving at the chapel, Anna felt the weight of every eye upon her. The congregation murmured, some with pity, others with curiosity. But Anna held her head high, a quiet strength emanating from within. As David and Claire stood at the altar, the air thick with expectation, Anna stepped forward. Her voice was steady but charged with the power of a woman who had fought through betrayal and despair. "This isn't just a wedding," she began. "It's a reckoning, for love, for truth, and for all the secrets that have shaped us." Her words hung in the air, a challenge to everyone present. David looked at her, torn between guilt and longing. Claire's eyes filled with tears. In that moment, the carefully constructed facade shattered. What followed was a raw, emotional confrontation, a public unmasking of pain, love, and shattered dreams. The chapel echoed with truth spoken aloud, tears shed, and silent prayers for healing. Anna realized that some endings are not neat and tidy. They are messy, painful, and complicated. But they are also beginnings. The story was far from over. The wounds were still fresh, but Anna had found her voice, and with it, the courage to face whatever came next. The days that followed the emotional storm at the chapel were unlike anything Anna had ever experienced. The air around her felt heavy, as if the weight of every shattered trust and broken promise clung to her skin, refusing to be shaken off. The world seemed quieter, colder, an echo chamber for memories that replayed endlessly, each one a painful reminder of what had been lost. Yet, amidst the silence and sorrow, life moved forward. It pushed Anna onward, whether she was ready or not. The aftermath was a slow, grinding process of healing and rediscovery. The days blurred together in a haze of raw emotions and tentative steps toward reclaiming herself. Anna withdrew from the outside world, seeking refuge in the few safe spaces that offered comfort. A quiet corner in her favorite cafe, the familiar embrace of her closest friends, and the solace of therapy sessions where she could unpack the complex web of betrayal and grief. She learned that healing was not linear. Some days were filled with hope and determination. Others sank into despair and loneliness. Each night, as she lay awake staring at the ceiling, the past would creep back in, whispering doubts and fears that threatened to consume her. David became a ghost in her life, his presence fading into memory as communication ceased. The home they once shared became a hollow shell, echoing with silence and unanswered questions. But Anna refused to let bitterness take root. She channeled her pain into purpose, throwing herself into work projects, rediscovering passions long forgotten, and nurturing parts of herself that had been buried beneath years of denial and heartache. One rainy afternoon, as droplets tapped softly against the cafe window, Anna sat alone, nursing a cup of coffee. Her mind drifted to David, not with rage or sorrow, but with a nuanced understanding. She saw the man he was, flawed, human, ensnared in his own struggles and mistakes. And she saw herself, a woman emerging from the wreckage stronger and more resilient than ever. She reflected on the tangled layers of love, betrayal, forgiveness, and self-discovery that had marked her journey. She realized that to forgive David, she first had to forgive herself. The parts of her that had held on too long, ignored warning signs, and battled the pain alone. The wedding invitation, once a symbol of heartbreak, now felt like a milestone marking a chapter closed and another waiting to be written. It was the catalyst that forced her to confront uncomfortable truths and sparked a transformation that would define her future. Anna reached out to Maria one evening, her voice steady and hopeful. "I'm ready to move forward," she said, "to find happiness again." Maria's smile came through the phone, full of pride and relief. "You deserve that, Anna, and you will have it." Over the following months, Anna began to rebuild. She traveled to places she had dreamed of seeing but never dared to visit before. She surrounded herself with people who lifted her up, and slowly, carefully, she opened her heart to new possibilities. Her relationship with David remained a complicated, bittersweet memory, an enduring lesson about love's fragility and the strength needed to let go. One crisp morning, wandering through a bustling city park, Anna noticed a small art gallery advertising an exhibition. Drawn by a curious impulse, she stepped inside. The gallery was a sanctuary of colors and emotions. Paintings of landscapes, portraits, abstract expressions of struggle, hope, and renewal. Each canvas told a story. Anna found herself captivated by a particular painting, a woman standing in the eye of a storm. Her eyes were fierce yet vulnerable, radiating a silent strength that spoke of endurance and survival. As Anna gazed at the portrait, she saw her own reflection in the woman's determined stance. The survivor who refused to be defined by pain, the fighter who had reclaimed her voice and power. In that moment, Anna understood that her story was not just about loss, but about rebirth. The invitation that had shattered her life had also set in motion a journey through darkness toward light. She realized that the wounds left by life's storms may never fully fade, but they can transform into sources of strength, wisdom, and compassion. Stepping out of the gallery into the bright sunlight, Anna felt the warmth on her face and the stirring promise of new beginnings deep within her heart. Her past was a shadow she carried, yes, but it no longer controlled her. She was free. Yet freedom, Anna knew, was not a destination but an ongoing journey. It required courage to face each new day, to embrace vulnerability, and to hold on to hope even when the future was uncertain. She took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of life around her. The laughter of children playing, the hum of city streets, the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze. For the first time in a long while, Anna felt whole. Her heart was bruised but beating strong, ready to write the next chapter of her life with honesty, courage, and grace. The past had tested her, broken her, and taught her, but it would not define her. Anna was no longer a woman defined by betrayal or loss. She was a woman reborn, standing tall amidst the ruins and reaching for the light. Her story was hers to write, on her terms, in her time. And this time, she would write it with open eyes and an unbreakable spirit. This story reminds us that sometimes the greatest battles are fought within, and the hardest truths lead to the strongest growth. Though hearts may break, there is always hope for healing and new beginnings. If you've ever faced betrayal or loss, remember you're not alone. Thank you for joining this journey of pain, resilience, and the power to rise again. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that touch the heart and stir the soul.